Good morning. Good Saturday morning. Well, there isn't a yard sale around this morning. Not that I need anything anyways. What I did is I've decided I'm going to mount the GORDOS board in the DORKEL body because this is working out really well. I soldered on, because I don't like these crimp-ons on these here with the plastic. Most of the time they come off on me. The wire pulls out no matter how hard I squeeze them. So I soldered them on there, and I got a probably longer wire than I really need. And this is where the push button was. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this wire up over here on this terminal block here that I put in here quite a while ago. And that is where the push button is going to be, or the voice activated relay, whichever the case may be. Now, in the event that I want to put a motor here, which I don't think I'm going to have room for his left arm, I decided not to put the board here. I think I'm going to put the GORDOS board way up here. And I have to make sure it's going to clear the mouth solenoid. If you see that right here, that's the mouth solenoid, and it swings around like this. So I think what I'll probably do is to mount the GORDOS board up here, like that. I drilled 2 holes in the GORDOS board on each side of the relay. The schematic is on the back here. So I can mount that right up in there, like that, and I still have room for a motor over here if I ever get one. It was suggested by several times by John's feeder on the motor to put in an electric drill motor. That's a good idea, but the problem is with an electric drill motor, they can be heard. You know how loud an electric drill is. So if I'm going to have a loud motor, I might as well use Screaming Mimi and put that one in. You know, the one that I showed you. Just to refresh everybody's memory, this is the kind of head motor, this is the head motor, this is the kind of car window motor I want. This one has a metal gear coming out and a shaft coming out, and I put a big hose on it, hard rubber hose to turn the head, right here. So this is the kind of motor I'm looking for, exactly like this, to go up over here. But that's not what this video is about here, but I just thought I'd point that out. So before I mount this, I want to solder up some more terminals to go into the battery. The plus and minus of the battery main supply goes here, and the mouth solenoid goes over here. The hot positive on the right and the solenoid itself on the left. Okay, ladies and geraniums. That's an old crazy Elmer from WWVA Jamboree in Wheeling, West Virginia. An old comic I used to love to watch. This is the GORDOS board, and you probably can't see that, but I made this little clip up that goes from the plus of the relay here. That's the power for the mouth solenoid, and we just brought the positive up over to the positive side here. This is the main battery supply here. We're making these little leads up in the shop where I can see good, use and solder them. I don't like the press-on terminals. Some of them are alright, but sometimes they pull out. I've had them come apart on me, so I like to solder them in. So anyways, rather than to have another positive wire being fed here, because we're just duplicating the positive over here, we just brought a jumper out and tacked it on to the positive here. That way, if the circuit changes and we do it a different way, you know, I didn't want to put a jumper right across here. I can just unhook this. So this here is going to the mouth solenoid, okay, which is on this terminal block right here. And I just took the solenoid wire. You may or may not be able to see that.
Kind of dark, but you can
see it. And This goes directly to the solenoid. This wire here is going to connect right here. So when this Gordo board goes up into here like so...
Oh, it fits in there perfectly.
It fits up in there very closely up on the top. And then we spin the wire on back of the assembly of Uncle Dorkel's head motor assembly, and we put the wire right here. Can you see that? Can you see that, folks?
Yeah.
Well, this is where it goes. Right in there. Right in there. I sound like Dr. Schitzmeyer. You remember Dr. Schitzmeyer? Yeah, it was one of my characters that I did. When I had my old workshop, Professor Von R. Schitzmeyer. What did the R stand for? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Use your imagination. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I got to make positive lead with a spade lug on here and bring it over to the main terminal block up here. So that will feed in the main positive, and then the common negative, I'll have to make a lead for that. So I'm going to do that off camera, and we'll join you in 2 shakes of a goat tail. Alright, I just made up 2 more leads. This is for the main plus and minus 12 volt. And I use these. I like these the best. These plain ones without the plastic on them. And I only got a couple left, because I can solder right to them nice. I try to solder to the ones with the plastic on them, and it deforms the plastic, as I just don't trust them things. I've had them pop off quite a few times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the plus and minus here. Then this board is ready to go in, and I'll just get a couple of these screws here and screw them into the chest of Uncle Dorkel. Ow! Okay, I mounted the board up into Uncle Dorkel's chest, in the upper chest up here. You can probably see that, I think. Okay, so now what we got to do is we got to run the power leads, and they're made a little longer, but that's all right. We're just going to bring them out and over to the other side, and we have to tape them up with masking tape up against the inner chest wall.
That looks good.
Simple reason is we don't want the wires getting tangled up in here. And this is his mid-range speaker right here, so that's got to be taped back up and out of the way too. That's the little speaker that's up in his upper chest. So we're going to run these wires up in there, and we're going to bring this up and around, and we're going to put it into the positive, which is up in here. The main positive, we could just put it up underneath that screw there, and the negative the same way. Okay, so let me do that. I got to just run these wires. You don't need to watch me do that. And that way the GORDOS board is in there, and all I have to do now is connect it up. The wires are much longer than they need to be, because I have to be able to do this stuff and outside a lot of times when I'm working on it, as I said before. So that's not a problem. I can come underneath this terminal board and come out and around and on the other side. That's not a problem. Okay, it took me all this time, I would say probably almost an hour since the last time I was on this video, just to get the contacts, the spade lugs into the terminal strips. You can't see what I'm doing. I got the GORDOS board in. I added an extra wire, long wire for the push button. And if you look up here, let me get the head over a little bit here. Look at his mouth. You see the GORDOS board lighting up there? Okay, now take a look at his mouth. Take a look at his mouth. Ready? Okay, so we're back to mechanical operation, but the GORDOS board is working out really well. So now I just got to straighten up these wires. They have to be long, as I said, because I need to be able to see when I make the connections on the GORDOS board or whatever other board I'm working on. So we will wrap these wires up in wire ties and just shove them in the corner. And that's the best I can do here. I wished I didn't have to have them so long, but you have to do what you got to do. Now what I got to do here now, this is the motor wire, which has to hang down and be slacked. This is the little speaker. As I said, I'm going to just tape that back up out of the way, and I'm going to tape these wires down because when this solenoid here swings around, let me swing the head around and show you. See that? That takes up a lot of room, see?
It's big.
It is big, but it needs to be big.
Where's the push button for them?
Now, see the solenoid, how it works?
It lights up.
That's the GORDOS board lights up. This here. See?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when this thing swings around here, and I'll turn the head if I can find a remote here. We bring it around, see? That's got to clear. We don't want that hooking into the wires. And it comes over here, and if you take a look on this side, there's the solenoid right here. Okay. All right, so we're all set to go, and we're going to dress these wires up and get this thing working good. So we're going to shut this off for now.
Where's the push button for the mouth that's supposed to go on those wires?
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay, the push button for the mouth is on my workbench in the shop.
Oh.
This wire here, if I go with a 20-foot thin wire, mechanically operated push button, the old-fashioned way, which I may have to do, this wire will connect to a jack, maybe here, and that long wire will plug into that. If not, and I do go with a voice operated mouth, then whatever board I get, or circuit or amplifier or anything, I can shorten this up and connect it to that, which may be up in here somewhere. See, so either way, so we're going to leave this wire long for now, and we're just going to stick it through here. This temporary. Everything's temporary.
Beautiful day today.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Okay, so that's the story there. So the rest of this, folks, I think we're going to end this video, because the rest of this thing is just dressing up the wires. I'm not going to do too much with the relay board, the wireless relay board, because I got two empty spaces, positions C and D right now are not being used. C was the mouth and D was the eyes, or vice versa, whatever. That's okay. We can add that in later. So I'll have to pull this board out, and all these wires are extra long for that reason, so I can see what I'm doing. But what I am going to do here, though, is to tape these wires to the inside of the chest cavity here, so it won't get hung up in this assembly when it turns around. The GORDOS board will stay where it is. We're done with that. We just got to add some kind of audio circuit to activate the mouth. And like I say, if we can't do it right now due to not enough knowledge on designing something, or you know, other reasons. So anyways, that's it. All right, so let me get this wire dressed over and out of the way so we don't get any wires pulled out here. And then I'll make sure that everything's still working before I unplug the battery. So that concludes this video for today. It didn't accomplish very much at all, other than getting the GORDOS board off my workbench and in here where it belongs. And everything is shaping up good. And we can't do any more now on this until we get our necessary voice. In other words, the mouth moves with the audio. And that may be an accomplishment, an impossible accomplishment. So that's it, folks. His head is straight ahead. His head is straight ahead. All right. See you later.